On page 18 of our notes, we're going to look at order of operations, which tell us the order in which to simplify any expression. So we have to follow these rules. You can't just decide not to follow them. You have to follow them in order. So an expression is just when you have numbers and then your operations. Multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, exponents, as well as some grouping symbols. So things like absolute value bars that you'll have to watch out for. So usually you learn PEMDAS. I always learned it as please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So that is the order that we have to think of it. The problem is we only have 4 blanks. All right, and I'll tell you why here in just a second. But the P is first for parentheses. But more important than that, it's grouping symbols, which include your absolute value bars. So remember when we have 2 bars straight up and down, those are your absolute value bars. That's something we talked about at the beginning of the year. So if you see any parentheses or absolute value bars, or you could have like brackets instead, those are grouping symbols. Your E is for exponents. So first you want to look to see if there's any parentheses or grouping symbols and do the inside of those first. Then you look to see if there's any exponents, and then you need to do those. The reason we only have 2 blanks left, but 4 letters when we look over here, the multiplication and the division go on the same line. That's because you do this left to right. So if you have division before multiplication, so if you look down in number 1, most people want to multiply these 2 together to get 6. That is not correct. You actually do 54 divided by 3 first. Okay, so multiplication and division. And you need to do that from left to right, just like you would read a book. Same thing with addition and subtraction. You need to do those left to right so you can actually subtract before you add. So if you look down here at number 2, there are other things you need to do first, but you will subtract before you add. All right, so number 1, 7 plus 54 divided by 3 times 2. Now, people are going to say these are parentheses. Well, we have to do those first. There's nothing inside the parentheses that need to be done as far as addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. This is just showing a multiplication sign. So you actually could rewrite the problem like that. So it's just trying to throw you off already by making that look like you have to do that first, but you don't. So you actually need to do the 54 divided by 3 to start with. So that's 18. So you have 7 plus 18 times 2. So now we need to multiply. 7 plus 18 times 2 is 36. So then 7 plus 36 is going to give me 43. So your final answer for that is 43. Number 2, there are no parentheses, but there is an exponent. So 24 minus 16 times 3 plus 15. I know most of you don't want to write a bunch of stuff down, but it's going to be a lot easier if you write this down step by step. So we got rid of our exponents. Now we see the multiplication. So 24 minus 16 times 3 is 48 plus 15. Once you have it all addition and subtraction, then you can go ahead and do it all at once. So in your calculator, you could do 24 minus 48 plus 15. All right, I'm fine with that all going in by itself, all addition and subtraction, and we get negative 9. Number 3, I'm actually going to do a couple things at once to save us a little bit of time. Since this is off on its own, we can go ahead and take care of the exponents and the absolute value at the same time. So we can do 9 squared is 81 plus 28 divided by 4. If you felt really comfortable, you could actually do that division as well. Minus, then we look at this. We don't change that minus and minus negative to a positive. Okay, you need to bring that subtraction sign down and then just look at the absolute value of negative 18 is positive 18. So the subtraction sign stays. Absolute value of negative 18 is positive 18. So it comes straight down. 81 plus 28 divided by 4 is 7 minus 18. Again, you actually could have done all 3 of these things separately and gotten right down to that line if you felt comfortable with that. So then I would have 81 plus 7 minus 18, which gives me 70 for my final answer. All right, number 4, we have this stuff inside of the parentheses. So I'm going to start by writing down 48 divided by parentheses, 2 to the 5th. Remember your exponent key, 2 to the 5th is 32 minus 29. Plus, if you want to do 6 squared right away as 36, you can do that. Another thing I will say is this, if you feel comfortable just crossing that out and making it a 32 like that, and then subtracting and only bringing down the subtraction part, that's fine. Okay, so if you want to, I'll show you, you could go right to 48 divided by 32 minus 29. So whether you rewrote the whole thing or just crossed it out like that, you get 3 and then plus 36. So now we have to do the division. 48 divided by 3 is 16 plus 36 gives me 52. Number 5, you need to do the subtraction first. 9 minus 5 is 4 to the 3rd power. Minus 18 minus 6 times 2 is 12. So if you wrote everything out, that's how you would write it. First you need to do 9 minus 5 is 4 to the 3rd. You can keep it in the parentheses, but you don't have to. And then in the other set of parentheses, and you need to keep those parentheses in there, 6 times 2, you need to do that first to get 12. So then we can do 4 to the 3rd, which is 64, minus 18 minus 12 is 6. So then 64 minus 6 gives me 58 as my final answer. Again, if you feel comfortable just crossing that out and making it a 4, crossing that out and making it a 12, you could skip right down to that line. Number 6, 7 plus parentheses, 53 minus 3 to the 4th power is 81. Divided by the square root of 16 is 4. So 7 plus 53 minus 81 is negative 28. And then we still have divided by 4. 7 plus negative 28 divided by 4 is negative 7. So 7 plus negative 7 is 0 for our final answer.